let's shift gears and take a little trip down I-30 from Fort Worth here to the opposite side of the Metroplex, the city of Dallas. And let's talk about those SMU Mustangs. So SMU went on a magical, fantastic run last year. In their first year in the ACC, they appeared in the ACC championship. Absolutely nobody saw that coming, including myself. I believe I had Florida State and Miami in the ACC championship last year. SMU was not even a thought on my mind. But I just saw the Mustangs continue to win games, win games, and win games. And it was no coincidence because they've done a fantastic job recruiting these past couple of years, fantastic job using their NIL resources. They have a lot of them these past few years. And Rhett Lashley spearheading the vision of this team. Like, this is a program that has a lot of promise. And they belonged where they were last year. It was no fluke at all. But my question for this segment here is, how does SMU build off of last year? And how good are they this year, relatively speaking, comparing to last year? Well, you have Kevin Jennings returning, who's a dark horse contender for the Heisman this year. The young man has a lot of promise. He's lethal on his legs, can turn on a dime, very agile. If he finds a hole, he's gone. But he's an amazing passer as well. His throwing motion's amazing. He's accurate. He is a threat in so many ways. And Kevin Jennings is a fantastic leader. Guys on that team really buy into him. Like, he has that element about him. However, the one downside to him, and granted, he's still young. He was thrown in the fire last year after Preston Stone got hurt. He galvanized SMU's offense. I'll tip my cap to him for that. But the one downside about Kevin Jennings was that the two games in which SMU had a lot of pressure last year, ACC championship against Clemson and first round of the college football playoff against Penn State, Kevin Jennings turned the ball over a combined 5 times. Wasn't very sharp against Clemson, but was an absolute train wreck against Penn State. And so that's my concern about him going to this year. He's got to clean that up. And so you wonder to yourself, is that going to be who he's going to be? Because there are guys in college football and the NFL who never shake that. They get into big spots and they just freeze up. They're not the same guy. They're not as sharp as they usually are. They're not as smooth as they usually are. Or was it just a first-year jitters type thing? And I'm going to give Kevin Jennings the benefit of the doubt about that because, you know, if you're a first-year quarterback, you're going from Dallas, Texas, and you're playing up in State College, Pennsylvania, you're freezing your ass off. You're from Oak Cliff, Texas. You're not used to that, right? I mean, you saw him go out onto the field. He was freezing. But you have to adjust to that. And so that's my question about Kevin Jennings is, does he adapt? Does he evolve? Does he make those strides? Does he make those improvements this year? Playing in different environments, playing in big games. I trust him. I give him the benefit of the doubt, but I have to see it. Now talking about SMU as a team as a whole this year. Comparatively speaking, they only have 53% return production, which isn't great. I think that's good for 78th in college football in the FBS. That's not great at all. I mean, you see teams out there like Clemson in their own conference, 81% return production. Arizona State, 79. Illinois, 76. Like, those are, and it's that continuity, it's that retention that leads to championship contention in college football. You saw out of Ohio State last year that all those guys coming back to run it back. You saw it with Michigan the year before, in Georgia the year before that. That's the fabric, that's the DNA of championship teams. I don't see that from SMU this year, 53% return production. They lost key components of their team last year. Running back Bashard Smith, who is huge for opening up the passages of that running attack, along with Kevin Jennings and his speed, and Elijah Roberts on defense. Losing him is going to be a blow too. However, they still do have several key components to their run last year. So this is still going to be a very deep, very promising, very talented SMU team. I expect SMU's secondary to be improved. Their defensive line, I don't think it'll be as potent as it was last year. However, it'll still be a threat. My biggest concern for SMU going into this season is their schedule. They're playing a lot of teams that they did not play last year in the regular season. They're playing Clemson. They're playing Miami. They're coming out here to Fort Worth to play TCU on the road. Those are 3 challenging games. Those are 3 games that SMU could drop. But they could also win them as well. This is a very talented team, so I'm not going to put it past them. But comparatively speaking to last year, Clemson and Miami were not on the schedule, and SMU was fortunate enough to have TCU at home. I trust Rhett Lashley and his coaching style, his vision for this Mustangs program right now. I mean, it's sharp. SMU is marching the beat of a different drum than they've been these past couple of years. And I think that you look at the next 3 to 5 years, and SMU is going to be in the College Football Playoff conversation. They're going to be a fixture. It was not just a 2024 thing. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be in that conversation. But comparing 2024 to 2025, no. I don't think they go 11-1 this year. I don't think they win 11 games. I think that their schedule is more challenging, number one. And number two, their team's diluted. It's not as good as it was last year. And so looking at FanDuel, like I said, that's where I always go for those over-under win totals and for championship odds. SMU is at 8.5 right now, and I think that's reasonable. I have the Mustangs winning 8 to 9 games this year, going 8-4 or 9-3. I think that they will be competing for a spot in the College Football Playoff late in the season. However, I just think that the schedule's a little bit too much, comparatively speaking, to their roster. So those are my thoughts on SMU. Last year is not a fluke. This team will continue in the conversation. They're recruiting great for 2026 as well. So they continue to build that foundation from a roster standpoint. Rhett Lashley continues to build the foundation from a culture standpoint. SMU looks very promising. They have a great trajectory, but this year, the result will not be as good as last year. I don't see 11-1 for the Mustangs, but this will still be a very good football team in Dallas, Texas.